Hey guys, drdecks here. Today I wanted to talk to you about a new piece of equipment that we just obtained. It's called a ditch witch and the model is the SK800. If you followed along with us, if you've watched some of our videos or maybe followed along on our Instagram page, you'll kind of notice that the old skid steer we're using was a little small and underpowered for what we've been needing to do with it. So if you like this video, don't forget to click subscribe and hit that bell icon to be notified when we're putting out new content. I'm not going to run down every single little aspect of this machine, but I am going to tell you a little bit about why I was looking for this model and why I purchased it, and I'll show you the motor and all that good stuff. So basically, I've always wanted a track ran skid steer. My old skid steer, mini skid steer, had tires, and they can rut out real easy in backyards. This system has a track system instead, so it has a lot better grip and it causes less damage to your backyard. It can still tear up grass real easy, but it just doesn't do it as badly as tires will. So that was something I've been looking for. Most modern mini skid steers, a lot of modern mini skid steers will have tracks versus tires. So that's a major upgrade. This machine is much heavier than my old machine, probably by about 1,500 pounds. This thing weighs about 3,000 pounds. It has a lot more robust hydraulic system, and the reason I need this bigger machine, it's only 2 inches wider than my old machine, but it's going to help me drive my helical piles better in the ground. It's not going to toss the machine around as much or try to flip it over like the problems I was having with my old machine. This machine is diesel operated. It has a 25 horsepower Kubota motor, which I'm familiar with because my Bobcat also has a Kubota motor, and it's also diesel. So I'm familiar with the diesel platform, which also generates a lot of power, and there's extra reserve capacity in your hydraulics when you're needing to run an implement plus your machine. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. We'll go over the controls really quick. What you see here, now this is something I have to get used to because I'm not used to driving a machine this way. My old mini skid steer has hand controls. There's the right control and the left control. 2 of the sticks move forward. You're using both hands to drive forward, and then the other 2 sticks lift and lower the boom and raise and tilt the bucket. On this machine, it's a little bit different. You actually drive the machine with one hand right here. It's like a tank. If you push both these forward, you move forward. If you pull them back, they both move back. If you go like this or like this, you'll turn right or left. So there's a little bit of getting used to. Now this machine is not new. I bought it used. I got lucky and found a guy locally that was selling one, and it only has about 700 hours on it. So this is a 2017 model with about 709 hours. So that's your steering mechanism right here. Here's your throttle. Another thing that's kind of nice is it has a parking brake that you can implement when the machine's on. Here's your throttle, obviously slow, fast. Now, this is your hydraulic drive. A cool thing about this machine is you can actually operate this with your foot. So to operate this, the hydraulic drive, you have to engage it with your foot, and then you can either go forward or reverse. And it'll stay. As soon as you let off the pedal, it disengages that hydraulic drive. So that's what this yellow handle is the hydraulic drive. All right, and then right here, this is your bucket. This operates your bucket and your boom. So this lever right here will raise and lower your bucket, or raise or dump your bucket as well. To raise it, you pull it back. To drop it, you push forward. To raise the actual bucket, take it left, and to dump it, take it to the right. So this is the one control that I'm still getting used to, and I actually need to get another one because this is stripped. And as you can see, you know, things, when you're running these machines, it's not super smooth. I mean, the best operators can be really super smooth with this machine. Me, not so much, because for one, I'm just learning it. I've only had not even an hour on it yet. I haven't even driven a pile with it. I haven't done any of that stuff, which we're going to do a separate video on driving piles of this machine, and we're going to compare it to our old machine just to let you guys know if there's anybody else out there that's considering using helical piles in their business, you're probably going to need to upgrade or get into a Toro TX1000 or at least a 7 series ditch witch or 800 or bigger. They make them up to like the Model 3000, which, you know, I can't tell you. I'm sure it's a bigger motor, more power, bigger lifting capacity. I know that the bigger machines can carry a full pallet of grass or pavers. But these smaller machines, you're gonna have to split your loads to be able to do that. So the main reason why I purchased this brand was because after all the research I did, I talked to several people on social media that own these machines. And what I found out was I've talked to people that own the Toro Dingo, they've owned the Vermeers, and they've owned the Ditch Witch. And I couldn't find one person that had a bad thing to say about the Ditch Witch. So that's what I was looking for, and I just got lucky and happened to find a guy that was selling one. So all the functions are pretty cool as far as being able to lift. Everything's kind of packed out of the way. Everything's nice and tight and clean. This is your radiator, your fuel filter. This is where you load your diesel fuel right here. It has like an 11-gallon capacity, which is really nice. And then your hydraulic fluid goes in here, and there's a little indicator on the inside stating where your hydraulic fluid is. You're always supposed to leave it about halfway in that window. So when I bought this, that was a little low. I could not see any fluid, but we're talking maybe an inch low in a several-gallon capacity. So I wasn't tripping, but I like to try to keep it as equal as I can. So that's how you access your fuel and your hydraulic fluid. It's kind of nice because these are lockable. If you want to lock them up on site, you just don't want people messing around with you or whatever, no problem. And then from there, we get into the power plant of the machine. Again, there's a hydraulic strut with a locker on it so that this won't fall down. Has a really nice battery. It came with an Optima battery. You've got your 24 horsepower Kubota motor in there. All your fluids. And then your hydraulic pumps and your hydraulic filters are all in the front of the motor right here. So there's your exhaust. And there's actually some fuses on this one, which I didn't have really on my old machine. And that's just a visual glimpse. I mean, I'm physically capable of tearing this machine apart, pulling the motor, replacing it. And that's what I did on my old machine. I just put a brand new motor in it. I blew the motor, unfortunately. And as we were using it to drive piles, I drove them fine on my own property, but the soil conditions here in the Pacific Northwest vary. In the Puget Sound region, there's a lot of glacial till. So where I was digging on our last project, I knew I might have a problem, and I did. So I would anticipate this machine still might have a problem, but it would probably drill the piles a little bit easier than the problems I was having with our old machine. Okay, so then here we go. From there, you have your auxiliary hydraulics. This is for hooking up implements, augers, our helical pile driving bit, and anything else that you want to run with a Mini. I don't know if this machine has a high flow. Now, maybe somebody that really knows these ditch witches can get back to me and comment below and let me know, can I run a breaker with this machine? I don't know. I don't know if it has enough high flow in it to do it. I know I can run a tiller, and I actually have a tiller that I could use to run this machine if I really wanted to. So I've done it before where we've tilled the ground and then just taken a bucket and scooped it out, and it worked really well. But on my old machine, it overheated the machine. It overheated all the fluids. It was almost too much tiller for the machine. So now that I have a bigger machine, I can probably run my tiller more efficiently. Okay, so that's where those hook up. And then finally, your quick attachment. I really like this style. This is pretty cool. One other thing I really like about this Ditch Witch is that it's all bushings. There's no grease points on it, which keeps things really clean. I don't have grease drippings in people's driveways getting in and out. I was always overfilling my grease, and it was always dripping everywhere. So the only place I have to grease are the tracks, and you have to keep enough grease in your tracks to keep the proper compression so the tracks don't want to fall off during activity of the machine, okay? So what we have here is this is what hooks up to the bucket, and then these are really smooth operating handles, a little bit easier than what I had prior on my last machine. And I believe if you keep them a little bit lubricated, once you hook up to a bucket or forks or whatever, you can jerk it a little bit, and then they actually lock down where you don't have to get off the machine to lock your pins, which is kind of nice. Can't tell you, I've done it thousands of times on the old one. You kind of get used to it. But if you don't have to jump off the machine to lock it down, that's awesome. So when I purchased this machine, I was able to negotiate 2 buckets, a standard bucket that came with it, and an oversized bucket that'll carry much more material, and a set of forks. which I've never had for my Mini. I have a pair for my big machine, but it's going to be really nice when we have this machine on site to have the forks there. We'll actually use it more. We can palletize things, move them around, throw them in the back of a flatbed or whatever. So that's an overlook of the Ditch Witch SK800. Now I'll go ahead and we'll start it up and we'll run it over here. We'll grab a bucket or two and just show you the movement, the implements and all that. And then we'll go from there. All right, so now I'm gonna start this baby up. What you have to do is when the machine's cold and you first start it, you gotta turn it to the glow plug setting and then you push in this button over here. And that warms up your glow plugs on your diesel motor. And I read in the manual, you only have to do this for about 15 seconds. They don't really want you to do it for longer than that. So I've already started it once, so it's probably warm. So I'm gonna go ahead and start it up. Another cool feature of the machine that I forgot to share with you earlier was there's also this rod right here that acts like a leveling device. What it does is it tells you when your bucket is flush to the ground or level to the ground. So when this is completely flat with this, as far as grading goes, that's a really helpful thing to have, because usually I'm just guessing. I'm guessing at what the bucket is. When you work a machine enough, you learn all about it. You learn how to use it. You learn how to flow with it. You might be running several commands at the same time, and that's what I like about a more powerful machine. My Bobcat's a little bit underpowered. It's a Thomas skid steer, and sometimes when I have a full bucket and I'm trying to raise the bucket and I'm trying to tip the bucket and dump it, the machine bogs down quite a bit. So I've done that a few times with this machine already, just leveling out my driveway, and it actually rises to the occasion. You can kind of hear the engine load up, and then it just, you know, gives you a little more grunt. But that is kind of a cool thing. It seems silly, but it's really a cool feature that they put in. It's just a simple rod that lets you know, hey, you're kind of at level with your bucket, which is helpful when you're trying to carry things or grade things out. All right, guys, that's really all I have for you on this machine so far. Like I said, I don't know 100% about it, but I'm looking forward to learning how to use it, how to grade with it, how to grade our areas for our decks, and most importantly, how to drive piles. So if you have any questions or comments, leave them below. Don't forget to like our videos, and please click that subscribe button. It really helps our page, and we really appreciate you watching. Thank you very much. Have a great day.